Morning, people. I'm back in the nerve centre now. I've just been out doing my meditation. Now, I just want to touch on the last video I've just put up. I just want to touch on a few more details. I mean, a lot of people who are new to this space will not understand a lot of words I say, or the meanings of behind them, maybe. Now, you can always Google things. It's, I've learned about the law of one invested about 10 years ago or so, 8 years ago or so. Then never really done nothing with it, and never really pushed into it any further. Then at the start of lockdown, I started having more time at home and more time to meditate, more time to think about the world and how I see the world and things like that. Just had more time. Then it was a bit of a breakthrough for me about 6 months, 8 months ago now. It just sort of stumble upon it, sort of thing. I started like meditating a little bit from Thailand and things like that, from the Hindus in Thailand and stuff, and the Buddhists and stuff, the monks and things. And I've just sort of crept up each day, doing a little bit, and sometimes if I get a few minutes just to relax, I'll just meditate just sat on the sofa. It doesn't have to be, I do practice a little bit of yoga as well from time to time. These are all tactics or tools to get you at your brain at the right beta levels, and so you're not too deep, or you're not too awake, or you're not too conscious. You're definitely awake all the time, but you're not too not too into a deep sleep, because then it's sort of too far. Then you start to dream. But you want the bit in between, which is, I think there's about 4 states: beta, alpha, and beta, alpha. I forget the other 2 off the top of my head. I'll have to think about that. But you can access these quite easily. It's you just sort of try and quiet your, what I'm going to describe to you as the chimp part of your brain. If anybody's read the book, The Chimp Paradox, in the Chimp Paradox, I'll briefly underline what it means, the Chimp Paradox. They suggest there's 3 parts to your brain: the human part, the monkey part, and the computer that analyzes it all. The computer analyzes it all and puts it all together and feeds the right information to the right part of the brain. Now, the monkey part is your animal instinct, sex. Hey, sex. Don't matter if I do. Sex, things like that is part of your chimp part of your brain. And the human part of your brain is more like logical thinking and reasoning, and more human things that we have, not animal instincts, like the chimp part of your brain. Now, I've read this book years ago and sort of understand it a bit, and taking the things that resonated with me from this book. And if you a type of person who says, like, someone might say something there and you might fire back dead quick, usually that would be your chimp part of your brain replying so quickly and so aggressively, maybe, or not always aggressively, but very quickly. Now, if you use your human part of your brain, which is the part that's a little bit slow to react, and you think about things over the course of time, you may get different answers from the same question. Well, you will get different answers. Now, obviously, the human part is really the part that holds us back, really, because I say that they're both kind of in their own different ways, But the human part, is longer thought out, and it's not sometimes you've got the time to think about things over a longer period. Say, like, if you've got answers to a question, or you're doing I don't know, you're doing something like what the bloody hell's the word, an exam. If you're doing an exam paper, let's say, for instance, and you're marking out, and you think, you fire the questions off. Then at the end of it, you go back over and you think, what was I thinking? It's that one. This is the different parts of your brain working, and understanding it and using it to your best ability is an art form, and it's something that really resonates right with me. I mean, this law of one, basically, they suggest that everything, all life form, or everything on the planet, at the Big Bang, that's when it started, all life. And I'm not talking about our bodies that we're in now. According to the law of one, and which what I believe in 100%, is we've been reincarnated over and over again. Then before we were in this Moy Sapien body, the third density body that we're in, if you were born before 2012, we were in chimps. We were in all animals. And before that, we were in plants, stones. And before that, we were in water. And we always existed. Now, as time's gone on, our consciousness is getting cleverer and cleverer and cleverer. So, the 25,000 year cycle that I spoke of, the equinox on the wobble of the earth. This, I mean, I knew we were getting close to it, but I didn't realize how close. And I believe the date of April 2011, 2012, not 2012, 2021, sorry, will be the date that the veil comes off for everybody. Now, if you're vibrating at low frequencies, and like if you're still vibrating at the third density, this will mean you will get to repeat the third density again to learn the lessons that you were supposed to learn. Because when we carnate into a body, we come here to learn. It's not or experience things, different things. We might be wanting to experience love, or hardship, for instance, or whatever we want to achieve. This is our life plan, or our life path. Now, when we come into this body, when we enter this existency, we forget it through the veil of forgetness. And this is something that's been put onto this planet because of its being in the third was in the third density. Now, it only happens in the third density. It doesn't happen. The veil of forgetfulness does not happen in the fourth density, fifth density, sixth density, seventh density, and so on and so on and so on. It doesn't happen. It only happens in third density because this is the hardest density to get through. It's one of the longest densities that there is, but you learn the most about yourself and about life and about, you learn the most here. And we've probably reincarnated hundreds of times in third density, maybe it's even thousands, some of us, but it's all how you take these things in. I mean, a lot of times we'll be repeating the same thing over and over again, and everyone's thinking, well, there's not enough time in the world. The world hasn't been here long enough. But what we've got to remember, we existed before this planet. Our consciousness existed before the planets. We're older than the planets. But we don't see that in this third density existency, or a lot don't. Now, it's very easy for haters to just say, what is he talking about? I know nothing of this. Then dismiss it very quickly. And most people will. And that will be a downfall. not looking into things, educating yourself about the world, and seeing the great things that life's achieved, consciousness is achieved. We're not, this is just, I'm going to describe it as an avatar, our body being an avatar. It's something, a suit that we put on, like a pair of clothes, like some clothes, or like a pair of shoes, or, it's something that's exchangeable. If you just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that. I just had to collect something. I wanted to point out something. Does anybody know what this is? I'm sure you do. It's everywhere. Absolute everywhere. It's an ankh. And this is what the Egyptians were using to symbolise. I'm out of breath. I had to run up the stairs there. Notice the cup. It's an anchor. It's what the Egyptians were using to symbolise eternal life. It's a normal cross, but the circle, the continuation of eternal life. Obviously, the Egyptians were obsessed, shall we say, with the next life. They were aware of it. And the reason they were aware of it, the only one reason they're aware of it, is because of Ra built the pyramids and lifted their vibrations. And the people who went in the pyramids back then, and when it was all built 13,000 years ago, BC, now, when they went into their vibrations moved up. So when it was built, it was in the 3rd density, but the people around it were vibrating at the 4th density. This is why they were achieving higher stuff. They were achieving, Ra was in the 5th density when he came and built the pyramids, but now he's in the 6th density. Now, this means he can manipulate everything. If he just thinks something, it just appears. It's like what we would call magic. If the sand would just come out of the ground and the stones would form, and it was built in miraculous times, which we know the pyramids only took 20 years to build. Of our time space, linear time. But what we've got to remember, time to higher intelligence isn't linear. They can move forward in time, back in time. They can move sideways. They can move anywhere they want in consciousness, in higher consciousness. The full cosmos is covered with a web, and this web is like an electric current, and it's everywhere. All scientists know this. This is, modern day Archimedes says this. It's true. There's no disproving it. Because they know it's there. They're not sure how. A lot of people not sure how to access it. But they know it's there. The scientists know it's there. And it exists. You get static electricity everywhere, and this is what this is. It's going through this web. We can't see it with our eyes, but we all know with our eyes we can only see quite a small we can only see a small part of the light. And I just want to say, this is a little small graph I've just done there, and that the full bit regards the full light spectrum. We can only see this small bit in the middle at 3rd density. When we go into 4th density, we will be able to see this much more. Just approximately, we'll be able to see. We'll be able to see that much more of the light spectrum, so we'll get all that is in the 4th density. Now, I don't know if anybody feels like the eyes are getting better a little bit. Sometimes I feel like a cat, if If I'm going somewhere, I'm out and about in the scooter, and I'm looking at, I can see further, and I'm seeing different lights feel brighter to me at the moment than the ones did. I mean, I'm someone who's just looking forward and just enjoying what I'm realizing about the world, and what it's something that interests me. I mean, not everybody, I mean, 99% people will think this guy is mad, but madness doesn't really exist. Doesn't really exist. It's just people think differently. That's all. It's just different, and we call it madness. It doesn't exist. You know, everything we, I mean, look at the Yanks, the Egyptians, we think, well, why were they doing that? Why were they doing that? Why were they aware of it and we ain't? Why is the civilization, not even just an Egyptian civilization, the Mayans were doing it, the Aztecs, they were all aware of the next life and our past lives, you know, and of eternal life. They were all aware of it. You know, I mean, there's a civilization disappeared in, the Mayans disappeared, didn't they, back, oh God, I'd have to check the dates off the top of my head, but the Mayans disappeared. No one knows where. There's a full civilization of 1 million people gone. There's ruins all over South America, and it's all overgrown by jungle now. They can only see it by satellites. Civilizations, pyramids are everywhere, not just on this planet, pyramids on every location. The moon, Mars, and much, and everywhere. And, you know, NASA just say, oh, this is natural forming. Natural forming right angles. Three of them in a line, like Orion's belt, same as our pyramids. There's I can't say this word, but I'm going to give it a go. Atropolis, you know, like a big concrete post, the one like the one, no, a big stone post, like the one in Washington. But there's a big one on the moon, on the what we would call the dark side of the moon. NASA have put it out there loads of times, and they say, oh no, this could be natural forming, and loads of they downplaying it, but it ain't natural forming. Someone put it there. Higher intelligence put it there. Life is everywhere, all over the cosmos. You know, just look into it. And I mean, I know that this space is a little bit, you know, with the extraterrestrial space is a little bit left of centre, shall I say. But doesn't mean it ain't true. It is very much true. And it's just, we want to keep people... We don't want people, well, apparently the government are doing us a favour by not telling us, so they can keep suppressing us. So the favour of suppression, that's what they're giving us. But we're not using, well, the technology's creeping in. You know, you've seen, there's all anti-gravity work that's coming about right now. There's loads of different manufacturers are building anti-gravity stuff. There's little toys popping up. What seem to be, they have an electric current through it, it floats them. There's little toys popping up with anti-gravity. But we've had it since the 1960s. We've had it since the 1960s. Just that you and I don't use it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, and there's some of the other technology that it's, you know, I mean, NASA, go on the NASA website and they've got pictures and things of, you know, lights out into space, just performing right angles and, you know, going. Obviously, intelligent life, ships that are, you know, like big ships that have covered, you know, that just appear to be light from the distance, making turns in at thousands and thousands of miles an hour. 7,000 mile an hour, right angle turns. It's against the laws of our physics. Things don't happen. I mean, if it was a comet, it'd be going in a straight line. It wouldn't be doing right angles at that speed. What have we got that does that speed? We ain't, because they're cloaking. I'm a believer in how they do this. Someone's, you know, I've read a bit and did a little bit of research, but I believe how they're doing this is they're stopping gravity by when they're on in our gravity space. They're stopping gravity by an electric currents running in different directions by, and I think they do it in 3 different layers of electricity currents going the one way, one going the other way, and one going and it cloaks gravity. You only have to go into Google. I think there was a Russian scientist who was using something similar from a beetle. He was using there's a beetle, I forget what the beetle's name is, but it's a small beetle, and it has like a big body and tiny wings. These tiny wings are able to carry this big body, and all scientists says it's against the laws of physics. Again, it's too big for the wings, but it manages to fly. And the reason it flies is because it's got a coat of some kind of natural occurring thing that creates this anti-gravity thing. This scientist figured this out years ago. This was before the Second World War, in the 1930s and 40s, I believe. This scientist figured this out. I'd seen it in the natural world, and started getting the beetles' wings, breeding the beetles and getting the beetles' wings and using it with 2 different plates on, and he managed to levitate on it, on this plate. It was like a square plate he'd stand on, and he'd have some controls, and he'd move the plate closer together each other and move it further apart, and this is how he managed to fly it. And this was done in the 1930s. It's on YouTube. Please check it out. I'm sure he was Russian, or I'm sure he was from some kind. I'm sure it was a Russian, a Russian scientist, but he's well renowned from his time period, and he was doing things differently back then. So all this technology exists. Zero, we're using fossil fuels now. Well, we've got technology where we've got cells and battery cells that can last forever, that don't ever run out. You don't have to replenish them. God knows how it works, but it exists. And we just get kept in the dark for one reason. They can control the oil. They don't want to give this technology to people, because then what will we need all the oil for? We don't need it anymore. It's a massive strain on the world oil that everybody needs it to use to get the food in your cupboards, to get the deliveries from Amazon. It's so dependable on, and this controls the stock market. If the oil price falls and the stock market makes more money, they just put the price of oil up, and it controls them. It stops big companies making big money. Now, who wants to give up the control when you've got it? Nobody. Same with the US dollar. They're not going to give up the dominance of the world, the dominance of everyone having to buy dollars to buy oil. They're not going to give that up. Why would they? Tanks will roll through before they give that up. And we've seen it. Iraq, 4th biggest oil producer in the world. The tanks rolled in there, didn't they? We've seen the US flying in there in the UK, thanks to the lovely Gordon Brown and his lies of webs of deceit. Gordon Brown and the other one, Tony Blair, his web of deceit. None of them have been prosecuted. The evidence is disputable that the new Farmwell, that didn't have weapons of mass destructions. And the only time they had nuclear power or enriched uranium they had was when the US sold them in 1992. The US sold them enriched uranium for. It doesn't always get used for weapons. They would do it. They had an electric power program, a nuclear power program, and they were trying to achieve nuclear power. That was in 92, before the first Iraq War. Now, during the first World War, the first Iraq War, the US had an army base, and they kept the army base from the first time till the second time. And the reason why they kept it, there's a porthole. There was a porthole in Iraq. You know, Iraq's one of the oldest. It's Mesopotamia. That was what Iraq was in ancient times. Now, the Americans kept it, made everyone think they were going after the oil and the weapons of mass destruction, and they weren't. They were going after the starports to go off planet. That's what they were going for. Now, there's none of this in the papers, of course, but that doesn't mean it ain't true. Right, I'm going to love yous and leave yous. It was a good long video. I'll touch on just quickly. My son, Leo, I managed to get him one of these, so I'm setting him on the right path. You know, he won't have no idea. He's only young. He won't have no idea what it means and what it is. But hopefully, he'll have the brain power to just figure it out himself, because I'm sure he will. Eternal life lasts forever, and don't think anything different, because it isn't true. One love, people. One love.